Welcome back to Out of the Rough. I'm Fred Arnold, joined by two fine people. Jim Reape. Jim Reape is an attorney with the Reape Rickett Law Firm. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning.
And a many-time guest from the show, mortgage professional Patti Handy, mortgage advisor, but also you're a certified life coach.
Yes.
And you work a lot with teens and single moms, single women. Mm-hmm. And you wrote a book, with several books, but this one is Divorce Survival Tips on divorcesurvivaltips.com.
Yes, it's an ebook. It's actually called 6 Steps to Financial Healing After Divorce. Right. And its focus is helping women get a handle on finances after
getting their arms around, especially when many women didn't handle the financial part of the divorce. So what are some tips you give women when it comes to divorce?
Well, you know, first and foremost, it's really important to get a handle on the mindset and to stay focused on what the plan is. From a academia perspective, get a handle on where everything is. Unfortunately, there's many women out there who don't know where the finances were invested, balancing the checkbook, where my savings account is at.
But the other thing is they probably shouldn't bargain for assets they don't understand.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a great point. Understanding the asset.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, you probably run into that a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, because your regular divorcing couple is going to understand that most of the transactions are tax-free, but you have to look at the basis. Mm-hmm. Is equal?
Yeah, is it equal after tax versus pre-post-tax
exactly.
assets? Yeah, without a doubt.
And that's why it's important to reach out to those professionals, financial planners, attorneys, coaches. I mean, really take your time. Don't be in a rush and get the education.
Yeah, completely understand it.
Knowledge is power.
If they want to stay in the house, let's talk about that. One individual or the other wants to stay in the house. Do they both stay on title alone? How does that look?
If one wants to stay in the house, they can. They have to refinance the loan to get off the loan. They can both stay off title or on title, or one can be removed from title, easy enough. But to take somebody off the loan itself, they must refinance. Otherwise, that person's got that debt on their credit report. So if the wife stays in the home, they don't refinance, the husband has that on his credit report, he goes to buy a house, he's dealing with 2 mortgages now.
Yep, and he has to prove that she's making the payment.
Right, she has to show that, but he's not off that loan. Yeah. He's on that until they refinance him off.
So where it shows up in my practice where they haven't done it is usually the credit derogatories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's unfortunate because...
Then I have to hire another expert who can value the credit damage.
Yeah, the credit damage is done because one spouse does not make the mortgage payment on time. That's responsible
all the time.
Yeah, that's. So you've written a free report for women, and how can they get this? And tell me more about the report.
The report you can download for free on divorcesurvivaltips.com. They will then be getting newsletters from me with helpful tips and resources to help them, you know, through the divorce. It covers the 6 steps. It covers what we're talking about here. It talks about, I don't want to give it away, but it talks about the mindset. It talks about staying organized, pulling your credit, understanding your credit. And on that note, just coming from the mortgage side, the credit cards, joint credit cards, the importance of getting those separated, the importance of closing those. If a husband is late, it affects the wife's credit. So separate that out and start.
Really important because usually in a divorce there's some financial constraints because now you have 2 households, you have additional expenses you normally didn't have. Right. Jim, I want to ask you, what kind of team do you, someone comes to you for, they're working on going through a divorce, what kind of team do you try to put together for them?
In the office, I mean, we staff with a senior attorney who's got 20 to 30 years experience, an associate attorney who's going to be less expensive, and then what we call a caseworker who is either paralegal or highly trained in doing the paperwork. The other ones that we would like to have on the team are a life coach, because a lot of people really don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. A divorce is happening to them rather than them making a decision. So these people are emotionally crippled, and they're very, very difficult to get focused and put together a plan for living a life. Yeah. The other is sometimes it has to be stepped up to a mental health professional. I like the financial advisors too, because someone in the divorce is typically going to be reliant on the other one to have been managing the finances. And the problem that we run into is if they lack this financial literacy, they really don't know how to construct a plan. Like you talked about acquiring the house. I hate people acquiring the house. It absolutely, you know, just pushes aside the whole thing that you were talking about. How are we going to fuel two households? And then you have somebody who's going to, you know, have just too much house in their net worth. Last I saw, you can't eat these things. You can't really live off of them. They have all sorts of undisclosed problems. You can't get a roommate in most
cases because you've got, you know,
kids.
A stranger coming in the house. Yeah, that's right. So there's a lot of things you can't do. Would you recommend? So we talked about a life coach, financial advisor, mortgage advisor.
Oh yeah, because eventually if people need to move on, so probably the principal residence gets sold and two smaller properties should be acquired.
Yeah. Great concepts. We're out of time, but Patti, those who want to reach out to you for your ebook.
They can go to divorcesurvivaltips.com or they can go to pattihandy.com.
Either one, pattihandy.com or Divorce Survival Tips. Jim, those who want to reach out to you, get some advice?
661-288-1000 or divorcedigest.com on the web.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We're going to jump to a quick break and we'll be right back.